On from that, we'll move on from that. I think we now get to clearly the arrest. The arrest, right? Now, we played and we actually put up a bunch of these things. Is this the, no, this is a tension thing. And then this right here, this is, where could we find, I think I have it somewhere, Chet. Don't you worry, I'm going to find it. Here we go. This is the complaint. Now, the complaint highlights a lot of things. And this is where all the Shiesty fans, I get it. A lot of y'all are saying, you know, you stupid, this and third. I'm going to break down two things for y'all. Very, very clear. What's Shiesty really looking at? What's the situations here? What's the weaknesses? And then we're going to look at Gucci. Is he ratting? Is he contradictory? We'll get into that. But let's really break down this case. And just like I did with Dirk, I told you simple and plain. Dirk is cook if there's three of his niggas that he been standing next to, be like, this is that OTF shit, and them niggas is on the stand, I think, you know what I mean, stick a fork in me, he's done. But and I'm pretty sure, you know, I don't want to tell what people's strategies might be. I'm pretty sure everybody who's on the outside and whatever, they're probably making sure, yo, niggas got to keep quiet, right? If there's a lack of people who are going to actually explain the conspiracy here, Dirk has a small chance, right? He has all the money for the lawyers. This is where you start getting to niggas through their families, not on some violent shit, but yo, make sure so-and-so's mom's or auntie's mortgage is paying. You know what I mean? Make sure that's paid, that they could, when they get on the phone with their nephew, they could be like, yo, yeah, you're not telling, are you? Not that it will matter, but it gives the best chance for Dirk, right? Dirk only gets sunk by cooperators, by people who are going to get on the stand. This is the reason why he's been trying to separate his case, that they can't use other people against him. It's a whole plot. We're going to see how it plays out. It's going to be very interesting. I'm going to tell you with this case, and let's do an actual, again, I'm not an actual legal analyst, but shit, we pretty much play one on the stream, right? I think we do a good job, and usually even lawyers, if you didn't see my interview with Drew Finland, the $1 billion lawyer, the one that's now representing Dirk, and the one who represented, he represented Young Boy, got that great deal. They've also said, hey, Ak, when you do your legal breakdown, you've done good. You're usually pretty accurate with the conclusions you're coming to, with understanding what's being filed, and and not only motions, but the ways of attack of whether it's a defense attorney or a prosecutor. So I do thank him for giving me that, you know, slight credit. So we kind of want to look at this complaint, and then we're going to get to the first court hearings, which was today, right? No, it wasn't today. Was it today? No, it was yesterday. It was yesterday. Sorry. But the paperwork is filed today. Sorry. So here's the complaint. Now, I'm going to give you the pros and cons, and then I'm going to sum it up. So rock with me. Here's the pro, here's the con. This complaint comes down on March 30th for an incident that happened on January 10th. Well, the pro is this. First of all, just this doesn't seem like it needs to be a Fed case. Yes, they did travel from Memphis to Dallas, which means it technically could be a Fed case. It's now affecting interstate commerce. However, this is just kidnapping and robbery. States prosecute that as well. Why not keep it in doubt? Secondly, also pro, it's clear, and you'll read it in the indictment, that Dallas police was called. They came at least in a day's time of 24 hours. They were able to grab fingerprints, which means they did respond to the scene, yet they made no arrest. That's a pro. So despite, no matter what they got, they still didn't feel it was time to arrest these individuals. Keep in mind, Shiesty is already on home detention. It's not like this guy has no priors. He's on home detention after serving a multi-year sentence for a felony that he was incarcerated on. They could have just picked him up, bang, right there. So it's a pro that they didn't. Why? Maybe it's not as cut and dry. Maybe it's not that cut and dry. We get to find out that they have to subpoena phone records, triangulate stuff, Hertz, all of these things to kind of really paint a good picture. What does that say? And that's where the feds came in. That said, this case wasn't just open and shut. What's the con? I'll tell you what the con is. The con with the case being filed at this time hints that possibly after being released on a halfway house home confinement situation, the feds were kind of either following or somewhat monitoring what's going on with Pooh Shiesty. Why do I say that? Well, if state police or local police, Dallas police, it does say Dallas police. So Dallas police, they came in, they got the fingerprint, they did whatever. They get tapped really quickly like, no, we're the feds. We're taking this over. We want the case. We got the case now. Interesting. So the fact that the feds got on the case that quickly, maybe they were waiting already for Pooh Shiesty to fuck up. They were waiting. So as soon as they catch him with a fuck up, they get at Dallas police. No, we got the case. And that stops the arrest. Because the state ain't putting that much resources into, he doesn't even live there permanently. He doesn't even live in Dallas permanently. So, like, if they have a kidnapping case or, like, he pulled a gun on somebody, they'll just lock him up right away. Why do a months-long investigation when the nigga don't live there the whole time? Like, again, it's not a well-reported crime. There is no murder. It's basically kidnapping and robbing. Yes, big deal, but no one is hurt. Okay. Well, people did get choked out. I'm sorry. Apologize for that. So the feds, I think, was on Pooh Shiesty already. Clearly, they're watching on the fucking GPS ankle monitor thing, but I think they wanted to nab him on the next time he slipped, which was this. So I think they took the case over early. Okay, cool. So that's the pros and cons of the date, right? So right now, we're just at the date of the filing. There's some things that work for him, things that don't. Things that work for him, again, I'm repeating myself, look like them showing up the day or the next day wasn't enough to kind of get the whole story or get the story to make it make sense to make charges immediately. They essentially have to get a bunch of things way later on, and the feds even have to take over. But the cons is the feds were probably already on him, and once the feds take over, it's not a good thing. Especially when you got a song out saying, first day out, nigga, fuck the feds, right? Okay, let's keep it going. Now, okay, it's a criminal complaint. All right, they state when it happened, Northern District of Texas. Now, this is another thing we got to talk about. So they're saying that the defendants, all 9 of them, are in violation of this code of the U.S. Or basically federal laws, right? Which is the offenses kidnapping and conspiracy to commit kidnapping. Now, I normally don't do this, but we're gonna. Give me 1 second. 18. We're gonna look up the statute on that too. Okay, here we go. 18 USC 1201. Okay. Here we go. So it's A and C, right? So whoever unlawfully seizes, inveigles, decoys, kidnaps, or abducts, or carries away and holds for ransom or reward any person except in the case of a minor by a parent. Okay. And when, basically one of these are done, which is any acts, blah, blah, any acts, blah, blah. Okay, whatever. Okay, the person is willingly transported, Okay, all right. The person's, all right. So basically, it's just kind of like picking out what could be kidnapping. Technically, they're saying you can't kidnap your own child, right? Like, that's why they kind of mentioned the parent thing. So basically, once you confine someone, in a situation that they can't leave. That's it. Okay? And there is some transportation of yourself or the person across state lines. That makes it federal. So then is C, which is if 2 or more people conspire to violate this. So this is a conspiracy part. So 2 or more people conspired to violate this. One or more persons do an overt act to effect the conspiracy. It should be imprisonment of any terms for any term of years or for life. So the conspiracy, and most conspiracies in federal court, or not, well, most conspiracies, period, usually has an open-ended sentence, because with a conspiracy, that might include a range of crimes, right? It might include even murder. Okay. All right. So bet. So now, and also kidnapping is punishable by death, but they won't go for the death penalty with this. Okay, it won't be. So both of them hold life in prison. Now, why did I show y'all that? I'll tell you why I show you this. And this is another pro. I'm gonna give you a pro and con again. The pro for, well, let's start with con. The con is clearly both of these charges. Pooh Shiesty's facing life. He's a guy who just did 5 years. He's facing life. He's clearly not a Boy Scout. He's a well-decorated criminal. He's someone who shouldn't be around a gun, shouldn't be around members or gang members or other people with a gun. And he's pretty much violated everything, and also spat in the, United States court system, and also the Bureau of Prisons, by doing this crime while he has an ankle monitor on. That's bad. That's the con. Here's the pro, I do think. Here's the pro. The pro is, at least in this criminal complaint, we don't know what's going to happen once. There's probably going to be an indictment, and we don't know if there will be a superseding, but there'll probably be an indictment at some point. Indictment means a grand jury, which most felonies, in the land, they don't want an officer just sending you to trial, even though the charges were kind of affirmed by the magistrate, but usually they like to have a grand jury indictment. Otherwise, you could appeal these 2 individuals' decision. If you get what I'm saying, you could appeal their decision of charging you. So you usually get a grand jury, and unless it's, Dirk is trying to do it now, where they're saying procedurally they presented info they shouldn't have known. Usually you can't really say the grand jury who chose to indict you, they're wrong, right? So that's usually the way of the land. Anyway, just a procedural note. So now we're here. What's the pro? And I know you're saying, there ain't no fucking pro with this one. It can be a pro. There is a pro. I do think there's a pro when looking at the charges. So in looking at the charges, I'll break down what I believe is a pro. The pro is that as part of the story, and we get the story in the complaint, we've heard it from the U.S. attorney when he did the press conference. One of the big things that they said is that not only was Gucci prevented from leaving, these guys were held at gunpoint, i.e. the kidnapping, right? They're claiming the conspiracy. We're going to get to that because, they're going to have to prove that. But they said Gucci was robbed of earrings, rings on his fingers, a wedding band. There was chains took, Rolexes taken, and other things of significant value. There is no charges that actually represent that. Okay? Now, why, you might be like, why is it a pro? Well, that goes into the narrative, but I feel like if they have overwhelming evidence to prove it, they would have made that charge too. The Fed's not saying, we already got him with a kidnapping, don't give him the robbery charge. They're not like, giving niggas a break like that. What probably happened, and we're going to find out the more this case comes to light, I have a sneaky suspicion that they didn't find all the shit that were robbed. Somehow, in which maybe I'm not calling them good criminals because there's no good criminals. I think that this criminal complaint, and it might come later because the raid, remember, they couldn't have found none of this stuff. This was written up before the raid. So this was written up the 30th. So this complaint is the 30th. They get the search warrants. They hit it on the 31st. On the 1st of April. But here's the thing. The reason why they do it that way, they want to find the things that were stolen. Where's the Louis V backpack? Where's the watch? Where's the wedding band? Where's the fucking chain? Where's the Rolexes? That's what they need. because it's hard to charge someone for robbery if, number one, how much proof do you have the items was taken? Secondly, by those people. And third, if we've never seen them again. You get what I'm saying? So there's a pro in currently is a pro for Pooh Shiesty with the charges. It's only, and I know it sounds crazy, but it's only kidnapping and conspiracy for kidnapping. There's no robbery charges yet. Okay? Now, the thing with conspiracy for kidnapping, I think there's like an enhancement for like robbery, I believe. Or some people might be like, well, remember we talked about this with the Diddy case. Usually in federal court, you need 2 situations for it to be RICO, right? You need 2 crimes, like 2 first-degree felonies. So kidnapping and robbery would be 2 first-degree crimes, right? But I think it also means it also needs 2 different instances too. So it might not actually qualify for RICO. But anyway, the point is there is no robbery on this, which is good. Okay? For now. Now, I do have a sneaky suspicion. I think there's going to be a robbery charge after the indictment if they found stuff during the raid. But there's news on the raid that I'm going to get to. Actually, let's get to it now. So, of all the people taken into custody, the first person that went to court was actually Pooh Shiesty's father. And in an interesting turnaround, Pooh Shiesty's father gets a bond. You know, everyone's talking about this is life in prison, life in prison, life in prison. They give Pooh Shiesty's father a bond, and it's $250,000, and he gets to go home and be on house arrest. So he's going back to the crib. Now, granted, it's probably because of the purported role that's outlined in the complaint that made the judge feel that way. If you don't know, the indictment claimed that the father seemingly didn't know. His participation was only kind of looking at the contract and saying, nah, that's not going to count. He needs a date next to his signature. And apparently they described the father as kind of like a unwilling participant. Like he did not want to do it. Like he was trying to not have it go the way it went, right? And because of those kind of mitigating factors, they have given him a bond. So he went to his bond hearing today and he did get a bond. Okay. So give me a second. So yeah, he did get a bond, and here we go. Wait, okay, here we go. So he got a bond. And I want to read the court's order here. I have the full court order on what they have said about Mr. Lontrell Williams Sr., aka Mob Boss. So apparently, this is what it was written. So they appeared before Magistrate Judge Annie T. Kristoff, okay? And it was a removal or detention hearing for Lontrell Williams Sr. Greg Wagner appeared for the government, AUSA, and Howard Wagerman. So now we're getting a little bit on their lawyers. Howard Wagerman, lawyer. All right, my computer just froze. I like it. Perfect. This shit just really froze. Okay. It legit just froze. Okay. All right, here we go. All right. Sorry, chat. Howard Wagerman, lawyer. So this is a guy who is the lawyer that is representing the father. Okay? Now, this is very interesting here. This is very interesting. The case is out of, so this particular case, chat, is out of Dallas. So just to get, I got to break this down for y'all. The federal case is out of Dallas. That's in Texas. Pooh Shiesty was already in Texas, so they got him in Texas. Everybody else is in Memphis. They arrested them in Memphis, but they got to bring them to Dallas. So usually what happens, everybody usually gets, this is what normally, unlike these serious things, usually everybody gets a no bond, right? Because number one, Tennessee, right? That's where Memphis is. Tennessee, they're getting told that in the district where Dallas resides in Texas has a case. So you usually say you can't get out of jail now, go to Dallas and figure out if you'll get out of jail there. However, I'm not going to lie, according to what's listed here, okay, so Greg Wagner appeared for the government. This guy who's a Memphis lawyer, so he works in Tennessee, but he works in district court. He appeared for the defense, and the defendant in custody. Defendant was in custody in court. Okay, he waived the identity matter, and there was some witnesses. Okay, so the witnesses were the FBI agent who probably tracked him down and arrested him, and also the defendant. So he had his own witnesses. So I guess it was like really like a detention hearing, right? He had a friend, Kayron Jones, Delvin Lane. These are all the people that appeared at his like hearing today or yesterday. He had his child's mother. Yeah, he had like 6 people show up. At the conclusion, the court found probable cause, but they did grant him bail. He signed and explained, and apparently his bond is set $250,000 to be secured by cash, $25,000 by cash deposit. So he's going to pay that to the clerk, and the clerk ordered the case to be stayed through Monday. And okay, so this is kind of like a difficult thing to understand, but I'm gonna try to explain it a little bit better. So his father got bond, but he can't take bond right now. So the case is stayed until they have another hearing for removal. That's the extradition hearing. So he has a bond, right? But it's a hold on him because there's another hearing to see if he's going to get sent to Dallas, which of course he is. But if he doesn't get sent or that hearing doesn't happen next week, he'll be able to post bond. They're going to send him to Dallas. So essentially he has a bond in Tennessee, but he can't take it right now. He got to go through the hearing of, is he going to get sent to Dallas? He'll get sent, and then they're going to create a new bail for him there. But it is in his favor that they already gave him a bail. So they already offered him a bail in Tennessee. It is likely that he could get offered a bail again in Dallas, right? One judge already said he's qualified for a bail. So maybe he's having a detention hearing on Monday. He just got to stay in custody, go to Dallas, have a hearing there, and at that point, he's going to plead not guilty, but he will look for bail. But they have a big leverage to say, well, Tennessee was going to give us bail. Okay? So that's the current thing on him. He's still in custody. However, I do think it's a big W for the outlook of this entire Pooh Shiesty situation. Obviously, this might not affect Pooh Shiesty himself that much, but his father does have a bail. Right? He has a bail. Can't take it up right now, but he does have a bail. Apparently he's in the custody of the U.S. Marshals, and they're going to, keep him until Monday for that hearing. Okay. This is his father, mob boss, and this is Shiesty right there. Apparently these two are like, like they're almost like big brother and little brother. Like, this is a video of them, kind of like flexing on live. Check this out.
Big size, but big bullshit. You know that. I think this shit can go for my last name. Real talk. This shit doesn't go my last name. Bullshit. The good way though, like, we ain't like, not the plucking bullshit. On bullshit, like, this shit could be my name. Bullshit ass wood.
All right, he puts the father on live.
CEO got on there. What's up? They talking shit. What they talking about? What they talking about? We were what? 13 deep and 13 chapters. Each chapter out. What you got going, CEO? Pop this shit on there one time. Let's show him a little something. He ain't gotta
I
do
ain't
too
popping
much.
no shit, man. I just went and bought me a new computer, man, so I can do this. I just went and got me a I just went and got me a I
Hey,
just went and bought me a new motherfucking setup, man, so I can goddamn go to work.
I just bought one of them. Shit, I
Uh,
just bought the whole studio. I got the
yeah,
whole studio on the back seat.
yeah, I see y'all doing all this stunning shit on the camera, man.
My pop your shit one time.
One time, CEO. One.
Y'all
Shit,
want
we
me to
be
pop
having
my
shit
shit one
like
time?
shit like this
Pop it,
just to be
hey,
on our
pop your shit
head.
one
Like,
time,
headache.
Come on now, you know how we
It's
came
headache
out. You
talk.
know how we came out like that. We
Yeah,
just
Why
came
y'all
out
still
like
shit
that.
on you, man.
What you got going
Hey,
on
for
there?
real shit
Ooh,
on
what you
you,
got
man.
going on
why y'all
there?
shit
I
on me
don't
like
think you
that?
having shit.
Hold
I
on.
don't think you
Oh,
got nothing over there. I
Yeah.
don't think so.
I don't think you got
What you
nothing over
having
there.
over there? You can't spread.
I'm playing. Mob
What?
on.
I
Mob
don't know
on.
how to spread.
Hold up,
What
my
is-
nigga. Hold
Oh,
up.
Oh,
what you
boy,
got going?
Hold up, my
hello?
Hey,
nigga.
Papa got the richest shit in the city
I
right
swear
now.
to God, man, we the richest. We the richest label, man. Who you want to sign to, me or Pop?
Fuck.
We got Mob Tide and
Hold
Chopper
up.
Gang going on. Or we
Y'all
might
finna
sign
go
to
through?
both.
Oh,
Y'all
damn.
finna
Stop.
go?
All
Hold
right,
up.
come on.
That's
Man.
it,
Stop. All right, stop.
We done. That's
All
it,
right, it's over with.
Y'all about
It's
to
That's
put
it,
over
that.
with.
Y'all about to put that little bit of ass shit up. Y'all about to put that
Hey,
little bit of ass
hey,
shit up.
man, you know that.
Oh,
We are going to the
Oh,
drive.
God. Man, look, though, but check
Y'all
this
want me
out.
to
Hey,
go in the other backpack?
whatever you want, you better stop before we break this
oh,
shit
you
out
don't
for real.
want us to do that. You know we can hold this shit that ain't.
Oh shit, my bad, my bad. Oh shit. Oh no. See, yo, y'all be acting. No, you know what I was saying? I was like, yo, listen. The more I watch this, is the more I realize why this nigga said, yo, your daddy a killer, but you just like Bronny James. Cause in reality, if y'all don't know, my boss, which is Pooh Shiesty's father, the guy he's on the lower screen that he's flexing with, that nigga's like Del Curry. Pooh Shiesty just like Steph Curry. So it's like, his daddy was that nigga, but Pooh Shiesty, that nigga. So they both on the same type of timing. This is gonna sound mad nigga-ish. I ain't gonna lie, but I just gotta be honest. Obviously not if you're doing crime, but it kind of look cool if you and your pops kind of like, you know what I mean, playfully flexing, right? That's kind of cool, right? Like him and his pops is kind of having some fun, right?
Nothing. If it can hold in our hands, it ain't nothing. Send me there half a ticket
Yo,
check.
pops, I just got a new computer, man.
And
No. Yeah.
just show you my neck pillow,
This shit
man,
with
for my
ease,
new
though.
car. This my neck,
Okay.
my new car, man. Don't do too
Hold on.
much.
I'm gonna go to the bank too, though. I'm gonna go to the bank too.
Hello.
Oh nah.
I'm gonna go
Man,
to the bank too.
stop playing with my
Hey,
I'm gonna go
man,
to the
look,
bank.
you finna go to the
My
bank.
name ain't
We
my
already in
boss
the car.
shit.
Look how we open our door.
Yo, they flexing with they pops, yo.
Yeah.
Look how we open our doors and shit, man.
All right.
We can't get
Yeah,
out the
we can't
car
even
to
get out
get
the
to the
car.
bank, man. I want to tell you we broke it. Free
Hold
eye.
up. Hold up. I got a little something in my pocket too.
Yeah,
Oh
that's what I
shit.
want to show them. Oh God, my little pocket. But you was
Yo, I see why. Like, the more you watch about Pooh Shiesty, you kind of see why, like, he thinks the way he thinks. Like, his father kind of like him.
I
all in
got
my
a little
pocket.
something in my
Hello,
pocket.
man. Hello.
This is what I keep in my pocket. This is all I got.
I ain't showing them, Pop. They don't
Me and my
deserve it.
whole
I'm gonna put all this
me.
shit in the bank, man. I'm gonna break out the card, man. You hear me? I'm walking around with a card, so don't try me.
Man, when they see when they see that motherfucker black is Samuel Jackson, they gonna know what's up. They black
Yeah.
cards pop out. We finna push up though. It's overstood.
All
Big
right,
brother.
bet.
Okay. All right. Now, so we get to find out the father got bailed. That's good. Again, The way how they're describing this case, like these guys are just menace to society, right? The father, shout to that lawyer from Tennessee, you know, he gets arrested. Well, he gets arrested on the 1st. He gets his hearing on the 3rd. They bring in 6 people, including his baby mama. They all testify. They kind of break down the complaint a little bit to say, come on, like, what did the father do? That judge gives a bond. He can't take the bond yet because there's still a detention order they can't override until they go through it, which is going to be a Monday. They're going to send him to Miami, but at least he was given a bond, $250,000, home confinement, which hopefully, in his case, he'll be able to take up when he get there. Okay, let's keep it going. So, let me play this. Okay.
Federal kidnapping.
Here's an update, too.
An assault case is moving forward against 9 people, including 2 Memphis rappers, Shiesty and Big 30. So during a hearing that's been going on downtown Memphis right now, a judge just decided that there is probable cause to move forward. Now, this is actually some video from the outside of the courthouse before the hearing started today. Federal prosecutors claimed that on January the 10th, Shiesty, Big 30, and 7 others forced one of the victims, who's only being identified as RD, to sign a release from a recording contract. Prosecutors stated that the label involved is 1017, which is Gucci Mane's label. His real name, by the way, Radrick Davis. They believe the group also robbed and assaulted 2 other victims. Defense attorneys for at least 4 of the co-defendants have argued that the evidence does not implicate their actual clients. The federal kidnapping and assault case.
Okay, all right. Now, we're getting through this. Once again, if you guys haven't known, there does exist some surveillance footage. Now, this is going to be the interesting monkey wrench part. And this is why, you know, I know this is why exactly when it comes to things like this, you guys come to me that we're going to give the best breakdown possible. So they have some CCTV video here, right? They also have some pictures of the studio. But we get to realize this FBI agent that did this investigation may have, what Jay Maine say, overwhooped it. I'm gonna tell you why. Because we saw pictures like this walking out the hallway that leads outside, and we saw pictures of the inside of the studio, though we saw nobody in those pictures, we thought, oh, there was mad cameras. They got everything on camera. We found out today, chat, that apparently when contested about some of the evidence they claimed to have, the government actually claimed they don't got nothing on camera. No cap. They actually just said they got nothing on camera. They actually admitted that they don't have concrete evidence that puts these guys dead to right doing this. And it's going to bring up the most important thing. So keep in mind, I want to walk you guys through this whole thing again. Shiesty and them, right? And I think I forgot to play this, but the feds have a timeline. We've done our own independent timeline as well. And what we found out is that, if you guys don't know, at around noon/1 o'clock in Memphis, no, not Memphis, sorry, in Dallas, Shiesty posted this video seemingly responding to WAC 100. WAC 100 was on Clubhouse. He appeared on my program and a few other programs, and he's been saying for months, Shiesty, he's not good. There's work on him. We got to work. We got Bompton. We got whatever. And he said that, pointing out that there was a proffer in Shiesty's last case. And if you guys don't know what a proffer is, a proffer, sometimes they call it Queen for a Day. Sometimes it's basically where you have a sit down with the feds, and in that conversation, whatever statements you use cannot be used to prosecute you later. Now, my opinion on a proffer, I'm a civilian, so I'm gonna say it doesn't matter, but it doesn't mean you're snitching. But in the streets, you know, you're not supposed to say nothing to the cops, don't even say your name. So in the streets, it's like snitching. Do I think Shiesty's and I'm going to call whacking a little bit. Do I think Shiesty snitch? No. Why? If we look at the case he was incarcerated for 5 years for, He was incarcerated for a case where they go buy some stuff, like some sneakers and some weed or whatever the case is, and basically they ended up shooting some guys. Okay? Now, the victims cooperated, that got them even arrested, right? What Pooh Shiesty and his co-defendants did, they were all in line doing, so they all agreed to this. They basically said, all right, we'll take the plea and say we did do that, but our thing is that they had weapons. That's why we shot. So they were trying to make this self-defense argument, right? Now, the streets are really stupid, right? And this is why I ain't gonna lie to you. I think this is why I believe Wack is one of the most powerful people too, because I think Wack has a way to put street niggas in a position that your only option is to die. And we'll say real nigga, but you're dead. You know what I mean? Like, there's no other way. So Pooh Shiesty through his lawyer, and that's where Wack got into a back and forth with Bradford Cohen. It was about this idea of, did Pooh Shiesty snitch? Now, some people said, wait, how could he snitch if he's doing the time? All of his co-defendants all agreed to the same story as him. They're all cool. No one is saying he snitched. But Wack was saying, well, you told because you shouldn't have a proffer with the government. And in the proffer, which Wack did send over, and it's an actual proffer you could look at, Pooh Shiesty basically asserts in the proffer that based on all the events that happened, it basically said, yo, we were defending ourselves. Me and my niggas was defending ourselves. We thought they had guns, or they had guns, right? Keep in mind, the guys who they're saying had guns because they're trying to say self-defense, they never got charged. Now, I've always said this about Wack's theory on this. This is why I said a street nigga has to die, because if someone runs up to your house, right, your op runs up to your house, you pull out your gun and smoke him, right? He try to up it, but you faster with it on some K-Flock shit. You smoke him. When the cops come, you can't tell the cops, hey, he pulled out his gun, so I shot him. You got to say, figure it out. To me, that's stupid. If it takes that level of stupidity to be a street nigga, well, whoop-de-doo. But that's how Wack, like, kind of interprets the street code. And I think in Wack's street code, self-defense doesn't exist. So telling the cops that you did a crime, or you did a crime with your friends because you felt you were defending yourself, is actually telling. So that's what that was about. Wack went up against what do you call it again? My man Bradford Cohen. And then Pooh Shiesty came afterwards because the conversation became cyclical. He posted paperwork. So let's look. Wack 100 versus Bradford Cohen. And we've had Bradford Cohen on here. I really like Bradford Cohen. That's my guy. Here we go. No, it's not 4 years ago.
What's good, y'all?
It's not 4 years ago. Nah, it's not 4 years ago. This was like a couple of By the way, yo, shout out to Drill. Drill came up with his name by himself. I feel like I should have came up with his name. They're calling Wack Patel. You know how they got Cash Patel, the FBI director? They said Wack Patel. Nah, that's a good one. Wack Patel, the FBI director. Okay. Let me look it up. Bradford Cohen, Pooh Shiesty. I don't know if I could find it. He posts a lot, so I'm just gonna see if I can find it. Pooh Shiesty's lawyer. Can I find it? All right, let me just look up Pooh Shiesty. People might not know his name. Pooh Shiesty lawyer. Let's look. So Bradford Cohen. Okay, here we go.
Pooh Shiesty, Lontrell Williams gave up no one. Absolutely no one. We never cooperated with the government whatsoever. The paperwork that he's reading is that our defense was that we blamed the alleged victims, that the victims were trying to hold up and rob Pooh and his crew, and that's why the guns came out. The victim said, I don't have a gun, I never owned a gun. And through our investigation and the evidence, we found not only did he own a gun, he had a firearm box in the trunk with ammunition in the trunk. Both of these alleged victims were total liars, totally full of shit. And that's why, instead of getting 10 years, the judge gave him under 5 years for a shooting case. Not because of any kind of, he cooperated. He didn't cooperate with shit. What?
They never cooperated with the government. The victims say we ain't had no guns, but Pooh and you proved they did have guns. And
So Wax thing is saying, by you claiming the victims had guns you told, the victims never got charged. And them saying that the dudes had guns was them trying to have a defense of why they're shooting people. Oh, no, we're defending ourselves. So basically, as a street dude, you can't say you're doing self-defense. You got to just say, figure it out and go to jail. I love the streets, man.
because of the information you gave on them to prove they had guns is the reason Pooh didn't get 10 years and got under 5. And you say you didn't cooperate, and you calling me a moron. We gonna run that back one more time.
Yeah, I actually don't agree with Wack here. I don't agree with
His
Wack.
lawyer calls Wack 100 a moron. Another grown
100. Let's talk morons. Whack 100. I can see where he gets his name because he is whack. The allegation that Pooh gave up information in his case is so idiotic. Even when he's reading it, DJ Akademiks is saying what a moron he is. It is next level how stupid he is. Now, if we're saying he's just doing it for clout, if we're saying he's just doing it for views, I would think, okay, that's an excuse. But it really isn't. I really do think he's very stupid. So, long story short is, Pooh Shiesty, Lontrell Williams gave up no one. Okay. Absolutely no one. We never cooperated with the government. See my clock in the back? You know what time it is. Took the plea and the judge.
Okay, all right. So, Wack went back and forth with Pooh Shiesty's lawyer. Now, that still didn't, you know when Wack really sinks his teeth into something, shit starts getting even more. So now, it's just not going away, this Pooh Shiesty thing, and I'm not going to lie to you. One of the few times I've spoken of Pooh Shiesty, I remember when he was locked up. And you ever remember Pooh Shiesty writing these long-ass paragraphs about how he's doing his time and holding his head, and he really does care about his street reputation. I remember I did speak to him a couple times while he was locked up, and his only thing was he would die before there's smut on his name. He wanted everybody to know that basically what he told me was like, yo, I did what I did, and I'm taking my time, and I'm holding my head high. I don't want nobody to say nothing about me. And I'm not going to lie, like, it felt like he was almost like really, he was looking at the street shit like it was a league. You know what I mean? Like, I wonder what he really thinks about people telling him. But he was looking at like, you ever watch The Wire? My name is my name. Like, he was going crazy with him. So anyway, he gets out. Wack goes back and forth with his lawyer, but it's still little questions. And he gets on live and he does this on January 10th at 1 o'clock, 1 p.m., 2 hours before they get to the spot to rob Gucci. He does this.
Supersede indictment, man. This the indictment out the original indictment. So we got indicted twice, nigga. So they smacked us with more charges, nigga. Thinking that shit would break us or make us, nigga. Conspiracy to possess firearms in front of the drug trafficking, violent crimes, nigga. 3 other sided niggas you will ever see, nigga. Name on a piece of paperwork, nigga. Bankroll, D-roll, nigga. These niggas solid, nigga. These niggas solid, nigga. We kept it G. We traumatized about this shit, my nigga. For real, nigga, I really went through it. Nigga, you nigga better watch our mouth when y'all say a nigga name, cuz I was facing 20 plus or 20 plus another 20 plus life, nigga. Never told it, never folded, nigga. All my shit add up, nigga. Yeah, nigga, every page add up. You see 1 through 10 on anything. Stop playing with a nigga name, nigga made, nigga, for real. You niggas don't know the half of this shit or what's really going on, nigga. Yeah, my paperwork 4,000 pages long. I go all day with this shit. You niggas don't know what really going on. You know what you see on the internet, you content creating ass niggas. Supersede indictment, man. This the indictment out the original indictment. So
Okay. And if you're wondering about the timing of that, if you look at this, Says Pooh Shiesty goes off. I posted it around the same time he did, January 10th. Okay? So he basically left, and maybe this gives a setting of his mind state. He's already a little bit pissed off that people online is talking shit about him. You get what I'm saying? But he goes from, maybe he was at his apartment, then he goes to the studio. All right? All good. Now, let's get to this. And this is the latest update with the case. Let's get into it.
Ron, thank you. Now to a new development tonight in the arrest of Memphis rapper Pooh Shiesty. He and 8 others are charged with kidnapping rapper Gucci Mane. Shiesty's father, Lontrell Williams Sr., and another Memphis rapper known as Big 30 appeared in federal court today. Action News 5's Caitlin Miller was in the courtroom in downtown Memphis. So Caitlin, fill us in. What happened today?
Yeah, Joyce, so they're actually still in there, but what I can tell you is that a special agent from the FBI, Marcellus Hobbs, from the Dallas Violent Crimes Task Force, took the stand, and defense attorneys for Lontrell Williams Sr., Pooh Shiesty's father, and Rodney Wright Jr., also known as rapper Big 30, asked Hobbs a key question. Is there any hard evidence, like video surveillance, showing either man possessing a gun or threatening anyone? And Hobbs said no. He also testified that no concrete evidence was found in Wright's car or Williams' homes when they were arrested. But even so, the judge ruled there is still probable cause.
Okay. What did you just hear? So in the court testimony yesterday that established bond for, and this is why there is bond for the father, the government has now said they don't have video of these guys having a weapon. There's no video of these guys supposedly forcing anyone at gunpoint to do anything. Now, remember, there's this thought that Big 30 had recorded it. That might have just been a narrative said by one of the people who cooperated. But do they have the video? They haven't said yes yet. Now, granted, they probably just seized phones, right? Because, Big 30 hasn't been arrested yet. He wasn't arrested till like yesterday. Who knows if he still has the video on his phone, right? Does he have it still in the iCloud? Right? So they're looking for that video. We're now getting told there's no video in the booth. There's no video in the studio. So there's 2 places there's no video at, which is going to be what is necessary to make this case. Also, there's no video of that shows them having a gun walking out. So every time they're walking out, yes, I will say it goes, and that's what I'm saying. It's more supporting a robbery than a kidnapping, because supposedly when they're leaving, they could see the Louis backpack on the guys. Like, so the Louis backpack taken from the camera, they could see it on the guys who took it. Also, there was an air tag in the bag. They could follow that and see that it was tracked along with the car leaving. But the big issue here is, what evidence do you have that these guys held Gucci at gunpoint against his will, which is kidnapping? What evidence other than, these guys went there and they left and, they took a Greyhound, maybe not a plane, that you feel is now a conspiracy, right? That everybody agreed that this is what we're going to do. Like, how do you know someone agreed? Now, the point here is this. Either the government was overzealous and they're really relying on, and this is where the last part comes in, the cooperants, because essentially there's 3 people that gave statements and CW, who is the cop. Now, I keep hearing about the cop. Let's talk about the cop right now. Everybody who keeps saying, Gucci didn't say nothing. Gucci didn't say nothing. He don't got to say nothing. The cop is with him. You guys didn't read the indictment. Or not the indictment. You didn't read the complaint. We went over the complaint here. The cop cannot be an eyewitness for things that he said he was not in the room for. Let's say that again. The cop cannot be an eyewitness for things he says he was not in the room for. The cop said he was in the lobby with TD, another security guard. The only time and the only actual eyewitness the cop has is the cop when they are pushing into the door and they look in. He says he has his gun drawn and he looks in and he sees other guns. So the cop actually saying there were guns, that's going to weigh somewhat. However, is it enough that a guy who basically never went in the room, wasn't in the room present for all the conversations, doesn't know how things happen. He was in the lobby. Is his his opinion good for a conspiracy of kidnapping charge and a kidnapping charge for 9 people? So for the people who say Gucci didn't tell, this case, if I want to be honest with you, is only made by him telling. Now, I'm not saying Gucci's cooperating because I don't think Gucci's going to cooperate. And I'm jumping ahead here. I think now it's hit the press. Everybody's saying A, B, and C about Gucci. Listen, Gucci's career as we would know it and the thought and the memory of his legacy will be completely tarnished. I don't think Gucci's going forward with this shit. They can't force him. He's a victim. They can't force him. So, but I do think Gucci's name had to be on the complaint to make this a thing. It had to. The cop claimed I was not in the room. So you need witnesses who were in the room. You need the victims. Gucci was one of the victims. So his name is on the paperwork. Now, is there a body? I'm not going to get into, oh no, we got to see a video of him. Hey, Gucci's name and Gucci's statement was needed to get these guys arrested. What a grand jury is going to do, a grand jury might say, hey, listen, they might say to the prosecutor, hey, could you bring the victim in here? Now, is Gucci going to cooperate? Now, again, all of this is cooperating to some extent, right? But will Gucci continue now that he's getting severe backlash? Will he continue? Will he continue, y'all? Because if he continues, he might have to go testify to grand jury. That might say, hey, listen, you know, we want to know what happened because were y'all just having a heated argument? Did you say, hey, I want to leave? Did you show intent you wanted to leave? Did someone hold you? Did they tell you to get down? Did the dude really block the door or he's just fat as fuck and he was standing near the door? So that's part of the indictment process for a grand jury. You might want to talk to the victim. Hey, come on in here. That we could ask you some questions. Is Gucci going to do that? I think not. I think not. So if you ask me what's going to happen, this is going to go down like the Young Thug statement in the back of the car. Maybe it happened. Maybe it didn't. However, usually, you know, what people universally see as snitching is being on the stand and these type of things get forgotten. So I kind of have a thought like this. This is my thought. If the cop who was an off-duty cop cannot provide subsequent info to guarantee that this happened and none of the victims end up cooperating, they beat this case. This case didn't go nowhere. They don't have anything. They don't have it on video. From what we're hearing so far, they didn't find any of the items stolen. All they have is initial statements from Gucci to Dallas police. So I guess, I guess the off-duty cop probably called. I don't know if it's an off-duty cop from Dallas, but he called his buddies. They came through. They're probably talking. I'm not sure if they're like, Gucci write a statement. Maybe they're just talking to Gucci and Gucci's telling them like, nah, Shiesty that did that, whatever. And maybe they just write it up as that, right? I'm kind of giving them a little out, but I am going to be shocked if Gucci takes his stand. I don't think Gucci's saying, I think this is going to get thrown out. I know everybody's saying he's stupid, but I think hip-hop has done the hip-hop stuff already. There's so much pressure and so much shaming on Gucci today. His whole legacy is in shambles. That I don't see Gucci taking a stand. There's nothing that he serves to gain. Gucci's not being charged with a crime. He's not being indicted. Why would he, again, you could say Pooh Shiesty's stupid, but there's no incentive for him to actually cooperate with police to get Pooh Shiesty locked up. Number one, let's put it in perspective. Pooh Shiesty got record amount of streams today. You know who's benefiting from it? Gucci, man. Gucci's gonna make money off his catalog. He's not out the contract. Gucci could just sit like how Thug doesn't like Gunna, and Thug is making money hand over fist over Gunna. Gucci's gonna do that. All right, go ahead. Yeah, we'll kind of do it like that. We'll work with the label. We'll act like you're not in 1017 no more, but I'm getting a fucking check off of that shit. I'm going to pimp you legally. I'm going to really pimp you. I'm going to play hardball through the label. Or, you know what's going to happen? He's going to have the label try to restructure it, give Gucci a bigger portion of it, and they take a lesser portion, but at least they're getting, trust me, it's the same thing happened with Thug and Gunna. But for the people who are thinking, oh, they're just all going to jail, I was surprised that in a detention hearing, that they did have to establish some probable cause because it's a complaint. It's a complaint, not an indictment. The prosecutors literally admitted, oh, we don't got this shit on video. Oh, we don't got them walking out with the guns. Oh, we don't got no videos of them with the guns. Huh? It now makes sense. It makes sense why it took them. It makes sense why it took them 2-3 months to actually get the indictment. Because they had to go back and, oh, let's go to the cell phone company and triangulate and figure out if they, okay, let's prove that they were in the area. Nigga, it's 4K video right here, motherfucker. We don't got to prove you were nothing. Right here, nigga. This is you. You got a pimple on your face. Right here. You with the acne. The big nose bitch over there. None of that. So that's why they had to do all the extra shit. Oh, yeah, we're tracking his ankle monitor. We're tracking this. The AirTag brought us over here. And I'm like, that's good. But usually when you getting all of that, you don't got him too dead to rights. That's the problem. So I think today was a win for, or yesterday was a win for Shiesty and them. What's going to happen is that Shiesty, if he's smart, he's going to deploy all his lawyers. I see a few of the guys who got locked up. They got, what do you call it again? They got public defenders. Shiesty needs to sub out all those public defenders immediately. Get a lawyer that's going to listen to your lawyer. Everybody needs to shut their fucking mouth. And I'm going to be honest with you, this is going to sound scary. Based on what the cop said, if I'm Shiesty, I'm going to roll a dice and say, remember I said yesterday or 2 days ago that it was going to end the plea. I roll the dice and say, if we're going down, Gucci Man got to get up there and look us all in our face and point at us and all calls a snitch. And I don't think that's happening. We're gonna roll that dice. We just need the guys to shut the fuck up. We ain't saying shit. Everybody gonna say the cop, cool. The cop didn't see the whole thing. It's in the complaint that he got texted after basically they're shouting at Gucci in the booth, yo, it's getting tense in here. And they still didn't come immediately. When they finally came, it's barricaded. So the cop, all he could say is what he heard, what he thinks. They push the door and they see for a little bit, they see some guns. They said, never mind. I think Pooh Shiesty got a good chance. If hip-hop is going to shame Gucci into suicide, I'm going to tell you the truth. Like, even if Gucci was mad at the moment and he probably said to the cop, man, I can't believe them niggas did that to me, man. That's a bitch-ass nigga Shiesty. Man, it was Shiesty, Pooh Shiesty. Like, maybe he said that to the cop. He's been chilling now. He probably back on his meds, cooling out, whatever. This hip-hop is on his ass. Every rapper and their mama done hit me and be like, tell me this is fake. People look up to Gucci like he's a fucking superhero. So, I don't care how much medication he's on. He's going to kind of look around and say, it's not about right and wrong, Chad. It's about what you could prove in this situation. I'm not getting up on that motherfucking stand. No, sirree. And if Gucci don't get up on that stand, I think that Shiesty ain't going nowhere. Honestly. Keep in mind, when you're proving this kidnapping, there's so many things that have to be established. Like, it has to be a story that gets told pretty much while proving the crime for the prosecutors. What's the motive? What's the backstory? Yo, did Shiesty call you before and be like, yo, bro, yo, nigga, if when you come here and we meet and you don't do this, I'm gonna do that. Has he threatened you before? If Gucci does not help with the narrative of what they need, this shit falls apart. It's like having a case without a Cassie. It's having a case without a Daphne Joy. You need the person there. Now, granted, we're going to look at the white cameraman. No disrespect to white people, but, I could imagine, the funniest part of the indictment was when the white cameraman said, after they done robbed him, and they're all leaving now, the white cameraman said to Shiesty and his hooligans, "You really going to take my watches, bro?" Bruh, the robbery's done. It's like he expected them to say, "Oh, man, I was just joking around. Come get this shit, man. Here you go, man. Take this fucking bum-ass watch. Yo, just take that watch, bro. Just take that watch, bro." No. So, I think he might be the person. He might be the person. Now, keep in mind, when Dallas police showed up, he allowed them to take pictures of his hand, back of his neck. There's no pictures currently in the indictment of Gucci or DP. Right? Is it DP or BP? BP. That's what they put in. BP. I think that was it. It's it's initials. There's no pictures of them. I think this case is way far from being over. Obviously, we all reacted to it because it is stupid to get this type of roadblock or this type of speed bump while you're on a generational run. Is just behavior that you would associate with an imbecile. But I'm realizing there's a lot more that we gotta evaluate. Gucci has not spoken about the robbery prior to the arrest. He never officially responded when there was rumors that he got robbed. And he has not responded since the arrest. I look at it from what's the path of least resistance and what is the path that is more beneficial for Gucci Mane. And I believe him not cooperating, I think people will forget that maybe he told the cops initially. It's like Thug. Like, that cop ain't making up that Thug told him about a murder in the back. They didn't make it up. What cop is just making this shit up? But that seems informal. When a nigga got to put their own handwriting on a paper, that seems real. When a nigga got to take the stand with everybody looking at them and the fucking microphones in front of them, and they say, "All right, now sit up now. Do you see him in the court? Could you please point at him and you're handcuffed and you got to go like this?" Yeah. So I think Gucci will have a chance to walk it back. And if you ask me, I'm anticipating him walking it back. Now, this is where it's going to be interesting. Because walking it back is going to be, he could come out and say, "Yo, I ain't never tell the cops nothing, they're lying." Now, that's going to blow up the whole case. Like, if he comes out and says that. If he comes out and says, "I never told him nothing, they're lying." Blowing up the whole case. I do think maybe he's in a slightly interesting position because the off-duty cop that he hired, and I will say this is a warning for all y'all gangster rappers who hire off-duty cops. If an off-duty cop is working and moonlighting as a security guard for you and they see a crime, they are obligated to report it. If they don't report it, they could lose their job. So now, if a situation like that happens, especially, I'm pretty sure the cop was thinking, and apparently the cop was the person who reported it. Especially he had to draw his gun. He probably thought he had to use his gun maybe at a point. That didn't happen. They fell back and he just had to allow them to leave. He sees injuries. If he doesn't report that, he probably could he probably could get in trouble or even arrested. So he reports the crime, and I'm pretty sure he's looking at it at a situation where he's like, "Yo, I get it, you're a gangster and everything, Gucci, but bro, that's what I'm saying about gangster rappers. Don't hire a off-duty cop if you want to keep it in the streets. This idea, and I hear so many people in rap with this, keep it in the streets. You hire a cop, you're going to be keeping it. You're going to be keeping it in the paperwork, man. You're going to be keeping it in the police report. Yeah, that's where we're keeping it, in the police report. We're keeping it in the police report. We're keeping it in the investigation file. We're keeping it in the case file. That's it. So I do want to say I felt it was slightly idiotic. You know, and I don't know, we don't know what Gucci Mane's demeanor is to being involved in this, and people, you know, calling him, I don't know if we should say out of his name, because if you did it, that's not out of your name, that's who you are, right? But out of your name, you know, obviously I see we had Rollo on here. Rollo doesn't really want to, like, yo, did Gucci snitch? Everybody's like, I've been asking. I sent out an Atlanta group text. Hey, Atlanta, hey, is Gucci a rat? Niggas is like, yo, who you got for the Final Four, bruh? Oh, nobody want to talk about it. And I understand. I do. I understand. But at the end of the day, either cooperated. I'm actually like, you know, and I love Gucci. By the way, I'm gonna listen to Gucci music no matter what. I don't care what people say about it. But I want to put out a warning for a lot of these. Let me tell you this: 8 out of 10 gangster rappers move around with off-duty police. I remember when I got into it with me and Meek Mill. Meek Mill got mad at me for posting him in Philly when he went to a hood event and some shit happened, and they like pushed him to the backyard, and it was 4 off-duty police surrounding that nigga like he was the Pope, nigga, with their guns drawn in the hood. And I said, oh shit, that's Meek. Those are off-duty police. He got mad at me for that. He did. He got mad at me for that, respectfully. And, you know, it was interesting because he's like, he told me one thing. He said, well, later on he told me one thing, but this is what his team told me. It was like, yo, bro, you know he's on probation. He can't be having situations where guns are pulled. And I'm like, he's with the police. Like, the police pulled the gun. It's not like some other, it's the police. But I had a sneaky suspicion that was a narrative he didn't like. You have the guys who say they kill people that hire the police officers to escort them to the hoods. Like, that's what happened. So Gucci's rolling with police. You know, it's funny because when you listen to hip hop, they're like, yo, 6ix9ine police, man. But you're being protected by police. So I do want to put this in the air. And whether or not Gucci is going to be considered a cooperative or a rat or whatever people might say, I love Gucci no matter what. That's not something that I think about. I think people who cooperate make the best music. I don't give a fuck. But to the people who do care, I want to send this out there. If you're a gangster rapper, you shouldn't hire police if you're so allergic to rats and police. Because the first time somebody do something to you, they're going to go to jail, right? 6ix9ine and his boss, Elliot Grange, was rolling with police. The first time some gangster shit happened, Shotty and them went to jail. So the idea, I don't think rappers should be able to play both sides. So either it's, and let me kind of fix up and like make it succinct. If they claim Gucci snitch, maybe he did. This idea that, he hired a cop, nigga, that should be called snitching. Because you're hiring the person who got to report the crime. So think about this. You can't get away with, nah, I ain't had to tell. I had the cop with me. He told. Bro, you basically told. If you're a street dude, don't hire the guy who is going to tell. If you're trying to keep it in the streets. But the reality is nobody's keeping it in the streets. Pooh Shiesty just forgot the memo. I thought King Von taught him, and I thought Dirk told him. This idea of keeping it in the streets, we're going to keep it at the precinct. It doesn't exist. Every one of your favorite gangster rappers, except the few that, they're either not here or like one of the few exceptions. It's like niggas like Pooh Shiesty. And I'm talking about big rappers. Some of these guys can't afford it. I got to be honest. Some of the guys can afford it. So I'm not saying they're real. Just that they can't afford it. But if you got like an A-level rapper, and they're rolling around, they probably are rolling around with police. You know why? Let me tell you this. Unfortunately, I love security. You know me, I hire security everywhere I go. But most security guards, they don't have their license to carry everywhere. they don't have proper credentials to move how they need to move. Also, when they're moving around certain shit, because they're security and not law enforcement, they really are just seen as a guy with muscles. When you have off-duty police with you, I said this one before. I'll give probably the same story I've told 2,000 times. At the NBA YoungBoy concert, it is crazy back there. Is whatever. The police is out there. They're 400 deep. 400 deep. This is in what do you call it again? Was this New Orleans? Yeah. It is so crazy. Aiden Ross landed. And he landed at a private airport. And he had 6 off-duty. Was it New Orleans? Yeah. Off-duty New Orleans. Was it New Orleans? I think it was. New Orleans police officers with him. In the back, everybody and their mama can't get in. Everybody. I'm going to be honest with you. And this is the difference between security and police. Man, them police with Aiden walk right through the shit with the gun on the hip, nigga, in the arena. Your bodyguard ain't doing that. Your bodyguard getting patted down, like, take your shoes off. TSA shit. The cops, nigga, they had their badge right here or right here, gun on their shit. And it's clear that they work in private security but they're letting you know who they are. So the other cops are like, oh, go ahead. I know you. Go ahead. Yeah, nigga's off-duty cop. So in reality, everybody use cops. But all I'm trying to say is we can't spare Gucci Man with the cop thing. The moment you hire the cop, you acknowledge that the telling's going to happen. Nigga, if I hired a cop, I would only hire a cop to make sure that if you die, it's legal. I want a legal death that we could celebrate. If you do something, the cop calls the battalion. Hey, yo, everybody come from the precinct. These pussy niggas trying to run down on act. We got to murder all these niggas. That's what I want. Yep. But the idea that some of y'all trying to give Gucci an out is like, nah, is because it's not like they fooled him and it was an undercover cop. That's what people keep saying. Undercover. No, he hired a policeman. He hired a policeman. It wasn't undercover. It wasn't a guy acting like he was security. No, he hired the cops. And a crime happened in the presence of the cops. So the cops did what the cops do. So as much as you want to call Pooh Shiesty stupid, I would caution Gucci to say, why sign street niggas and then bring the cops every time you're talking to them? That don't sound like it works out, does it? If you sign a bunch of street niggas who you know how they get down, why would you bring them to every time you talk to them, the cops is there, unless you plan to make sure they don't ever commit crime, and if they do, they get locked the fuck up. So the idea that Gucci is not part of this or didn't tell is like, it's ludicrous. You can't spin it. So you can't spin it. I mean, it's better if y'all use this whole, he's a clone shit. Okay, fine, he's a clone, right? That's okay. But I want to remind y'all, the cop wasn't in the room, wasn't in the booth when Gucci was supposedly, I don't know if he was on his knees or whatever, when they were pointing a gun at him. He wasn't in the room when this other guy was in the execution, stance. Being honest. So, again, let me ask y'all a question, and I would like to ask hip-hop this. 85% of rappers in the B tier and the A tier hire off-duty cops. I'll tell you why. They want a guy who could bring their guns into everywhere. Yes, your security guard can't do that. The police officers can. If you go to New York City and you're going to get a bodyguard, you better get an off-duty cop, because 99% of people don't have a legit license to have a weapon in New York City. It's a really restricted place. They only allow law enforcement, Leos, and former law enforcement officers to have carry permits within city limits and to especially go and peruse around certain buildings. Why? They don't want a bunch of shootings. So if you feel like you got ops like that and niggas might, so you want niggas that's armed around you, you're gonna go get an off-duty cop. That's how it works. You get an off-duty cop. The off-duty cop gonna hold it down. But now here's the thing: when you get the off-duty cop, and he's in the bulletproof truck with you, I know this as a fact because I remember with 6ix9ine, and I could tell, like, you know, was Shotty around? No, first of all, I always tell this story too. When the cops was escorting 6ix9ine to Complex Con, because we was there, Shotty said, Shotty's a criminal by nature. Shotty got 2 illegal guns on him and he's wanting to shoot somebody. Like, he's not going to be like, oh, let me sit next to the fucking off-duty cop protecting 6ix9ine. He said, I'll take my own car. I'll take my own car. Yes, I'll take my own car. So that's the point what I'm trying to say. 6ix9ine had actual law enforcement off-duty people with him that if, you know, that's when he ran into the whole thing with Slim 400. And if anything happened, so he had regular security and off-duty cops. And if anything happened, you're going to see it's over here. It's like off-duty cops and shit. All right, the off-duty cops, they're like, they fell back because they're not on the front line with you. Because 6ix9ine walked up to them. Oh, I think, yeah, this guy's a cop. Straight up cop. Now, granted, they're not there to fucking be tough with 6ix9ine. 6ix9ine got them with them, and 6ix9ine is tough as hell. Yo, 6ix9ine is banging blood on Slim 400, telling niggas to suck his dick. Of course you could do that. Nigga, the cops is right here. Nigga, the whole time Slim 400 and them, they were just like shouting back, and I'm like, yeah. Somebody said, snitching? This ain't snitching. This is how life goes, nigga. You're supposed to have the cops with you when you talk tough. You're not supposed to talk tough without the cops. The fuck I'm like, yeah. So yes, so you know, look, this ain't a cop. This is a cop. They all came with 6ix9ine. Yo, so that's one of the things where like 6ix9ine gets a pop and shit and be like, yeah, nigga, yeah, I went to Long Beach, I ran the Slim 400. Yeah, if they had done anything, they would have got their face lifted by police. You know what I mean? Which are these are his actual security. So these are his security. These are the cops, and you know, he's walked back. You can tell this nigga, look, you see the badge. Nigga, you see the badge. Look, and I think Slim 400 realized, like, this is the police. Like, you're going to try to shoot 6ix9ine over the police shoulder? You know what I mean? They fell back. Yo, you got to hear 6ix9ine shouting. Yo, I ain't going to lie. I shout too when I know the cops did. Look. His bodyguards is holding back, and the police is waiting for the shooting. Yo, let me tell you this, man. 2018 6ix9ine, undefeated, bro. Yo, he had the biggest security guards in history, and he got the cops. And he got the killers. He got everything. Shit, the way he was moving, he might even have the judge with him. Fuck it. Yo, 6ix9ine had the whole municipality with him. 2 firemen, 8 cops, 3 lawyers, judge over there. Yo, you can't fuck with him. Come on, man. Look, even the cop probably been like, you sure we getting that rate from the label, right? Yeah. So his security guards just trying to make sure he doesn't go there.
Did you call security?
Anyway, the point what I'm saying is that I'm in full agreement. Hey, if Gucci hired the cop, Gucci encourages snitching. Fuck it. That's it. That's the end of my conversation. And every gangster rapper, you see how Boosie started this PC conversation and everybody started like, because they really want to. I want everybody to respond to this. If you a gangster rapper, but you hire off-duty police, and you rapping like if niggas run into you, they could get into gangster shit, ain't you telling by having the cops with you? That's what they said about 6ix9ine. That's why they keep saying 6ix9ine's the police. But Gucci came to the building with the police. Gucci comes with the police. If you catch Jay-Z, he might have the police with him. Shit, no disrespect to 50. They said 50 used to roll with him too. Like, yo, you're worth millions of dollars, man. Like, this street rule shit is for like, you gotta fool people with street rules, not actually live up to it.
Get the fuck out of LA, bro. Get out.
Yeah, so it fell back. You even see I don't know if they have the full footage. They walk back. It's not even hidden because it was an escort too. They walked back to actual police cars. Actual police cars. Yeah, it was actual police cars. Anyway, that's the point. But, going back to this, it's important to know what was revealed in court.
Ron, thank you. Now to a new development tonight in the arrest of Memphis rapper Pooh Shiesty. He and 8 others are charged with kidnapping rapper Gucci Mane. Shiesty's father, Lontrell Williams Sr., and another Memphis rapper known as Big 30 appeared in federal court today. Action News 5's Caitlin Miller was in the courtroom in downtown Memphis. So, Caitlin, fill us in. What happened today?